Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. And if you watched the last video I posted and decided to come back and see me, I am eternally grateful. I knew that if I ever tried to do any bead weaving on camera, it was going to be a challenge. I can do the bead weaving. I don't have a problem. That's pretty much all I've done ever since I started beading. I have a ton of bead woven things on my website. I don't even think I have everything on my website that I have. And I don't have a problem with it. I've had this trimmer so long, I don't even notice when I'm doing it. But I knew I know other people do, because they say things to me, they ask me about it. And I knew if I ever did it on camera, it would be a challenge. It was even harder than I anticipated though, and I know it might have been frustrating to watch. I wanted to do it because that lady had asked me about it, and I think it might not have been hardly as bad if I hadn't been trying to do it around leather. But again, I apologize if it was hard to watch, and I appreciate it if you're back. I'm going to try to make a necklace and a pair of earrings today, and I'm going to be using these beads came from the GGC treasures bag, and these are from the January curated bead box that I got. I probably will get I know that a lot of people have already got their February curated bead box. I've not got mine yet. I probably will get mine different time than a lot of the other people do, because I think the way I saw it on the website, they send it to you about the same time that you subscribed, and I subscribed later. I didn't subscribe right at the first of the month, so I probably will be getting mine more like the second week of the month or something. And it says on here bead sizes and types may vary due to availability, so I might get different things than the others do. This was the Mythical Mermaid box, and I think these were the 12mm dark aqua marble style glass beads. And then from Gina's treasure bag, I've got the 6x5mm half gray plated deep aqua rondelle beads. And I've got some things in here, some little 11-0s and an 8-0. I know that sounds weird, one little 8-0, but I do. A couple of bead caps and one of these big beads and some spacers. I got this separate because that's going to be my pendant part. And then I've got some spacer beads from my stash. I've got some bead caps from my stash. I've got some findings here. I've got the lobster clasp and some jump rings and a couple of pieces of chain and some extender chain and some wire guardians and two 2x2 crimp tubes. I use the Beadalon crimp tubes. And I have my soft flex beading wire in fine. Apparently that's all I've only got it in fine. I'm gonna have to get some more or something. I don't know how that happened. I've got my little bead stoppers here. I've got my tweezer pliers from Xuron. Both of my bent nose pliers. These I got from BB Craft, and these are Xuron. I've got both pairs of my cutters. I've got one pair that I use just to cut bead stringing wire, and another pair that are not really very sharp, but they won't cut the bead stringing wire very well because they're not very sharp, so I use them to cut thicker wires like head pins, eye pins, craft wire, that kind of thing. And I've got my crimping pliers from Beadalon. I've got some round nose pliers that I got from BB Craft, and I've got some chain nose pliers that I've had forever, and I don't know where I got these. And I've got my little shot glass, my little New Orleans shot glass that I used to put pieces of wire in that I cut off. I won't need them till I make the earrings, but I've got him there for that. I've got this done, and I had, I end up with a few extra beads, and I have to make earrings. I actually had 3 of these left, so he'll go in my bead soup. So let me get some of this out of the way, and I'll be back. This is going to be like a Y necklace, and I'm going to do my pendant part first. I've got about a 24-inch piece of my bead stringing wire cut here, and I've got one of my big 12mm beads, 2 spacer beads. I have 7 11-0s, 1 8-0, and 2 bead caps. So I'm going to take one of my little 11-ohs and I'm going to put it on my bead stringing wire, and I'm going to put my ends together, and I'll find the center of my bead stringing wire, and then I'm going to take one of my spacer beads and thread it onto both strands, and then I'm going to put one of my bead caps on both strands, and my 12mm bead, and my other bead cap, and my other spacer bead, and my 8/0 bead. And bring all that down to the bottom, and that's going to be my pendant. And the little 11/0 down there stops everything from falling off. So now I'm going to separate out my wires, and I'm going to put 3 11/0s on each strand. Okay, so that's what I got so far. Now I'm going to string up both sides of my necklace. Okay, now I'm going to pour my beads out here that I'm going to use to string up both sides of my necklace. I'm just going to pour them out here because I think when I leave these little trays out that maybe it makes the camera glare or something. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to just pour them out here and try not to let any of them fall on the floor. I think I've got everything counted out, the numbers that I need. I try to do that because I don't want these videos to be too long, and I don't want y'all to have to wait while I'm trying to scramble to find something. So I think I have everything counted out that I need. So I've got my little pendant part here. Oops, I'm blurring. Okay, that's going to be my pendant. So I'm going to do one of these little blue beads, on each strand, with a spacer bead. These are little daisy spacers, but they're little fat little daisy spacers. I don't know where I got these. I'm sure I got them from Bead Box Bargains. That's where I get a lot of stuff. I'm going to do 3 of these little rondelle beads with a spacer between. They almost got me again this morning. They're having a sale. They get me with those sales. I was over there and I had stuff in my cart, and then I resisted. I emptied my cart and left it because I've got to have some discipline. It's hard though, all those pretty beads. It's hard to resist, especially when they have such a great sale. And then you have that 30% off coupon to go with it. Okay, now I'm going to do another spacer bead on each one. And then I'm going to do a big 12mm bead. On each strand. And then I'm going to do a bead cap. I probably would have put bead caps around all these big beads, but I didn't have enough. Should have got more of these. I like these. Then a bead cap on the other side. Let me zoom out a little now so y'all can see better. And do another 12mm bead. And you'll notice down here at the pennant part, sometimes the little 11-ohs want to sort of separate and not be even on each side. I put those there to separate the strands out so the beads wouldn't be so crowded. But once I get these heavy beads on here and get it pushed down, it won't do that. It'll be even on both sides. So then I'm going to do a spacer bead and a rondelle, and a spacer bead on each side. And then I'm going to do 3 more of the big beads just like I did here. I'm going to do one without bead caps on each strand. And then one, I'm going to put bead caps around the one in the middle. And another big bead. Okay. Now I'm going to do a spacer bead, a rondelle, and a spacer bead on each side. Okay, then I'm going to do a bead cap. Oop, I think I've got 2 in there. Yeah, a bead cap, a big bead, and a bead cap on each side. And now I'm going to do the rest of it. I'm going to do spacer beads divided, or rondelles divided by spacer beads. I'm going to do 7. And I'm going to end with a spacer bead. I know it's hard to see. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to finish off the same way on this other side, and I'll be back. Okay, this is what I've got so far. And y'all probably noticed when I strung up this first side, I said right here I was going to put a spacer bead, a rondelle, a spacer bead, and I ended up picking up a spacer bead and 2 rondelles. And I noticed that when I went back and looked at it, so I fixed that. So now I'm going to crimp. So I'm going to take one side, and I want to push it down real good because I want these little 11-ohs down here to be even. So I'm going to take my crimp bead, put it on my wire, and take my wire guardian. I'm going to come down the other side of my wire guardian through the other little channel there. This is a little different than when you start and crimp on one side and then crimp on the other side. It's a little bit harder to do this because the beads are in the way on both sides and your hands are in the way and all that. I'm going to go through a bead or two to try to keep my hands out of the way up here. Hold my wire guardian and pull on my bead stringing wire. Try to keep my wires from being crossed. I want to keep it kind of tight so that those little 11-ohs down there don't get uneven, but I don't want it to be so tight that it doesn't drape well. I'm going to squeeze in my little wire guardian there a little bit. You don't have to do that, I just do. Now I'm going to take my crimping pliers. I'm going to go in the second part there that's got the divot on one side and the little notch on the other side. I'm going to put my crimping pliers in there, or my crimp tube in there. I'm going to squeeze. Turn it 90 degrees. Each of my little wires is in its own little channel. I'm going to go into the top part of my crimping pliers. I'm going to put my crimp bead in there. And I'm going to fold my crimp. I'm going to tug. That's good. I'm going to cut off my extra wire. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Push it down. Take my crimp tube, put it on here. Wire guardian. Go down through the other channel. Go through the crimp tube. Go through a few beads. Try to make sure my wires are not crossed. Make sure there's not any slack down there. Take my crimping pliers and go into the second like I did the first time. Squeeze. Turn 90 degrees. Go into the first part of the dip crimping pliers and squeeze. Tug. Thank goodness, that's good. Cut off. So that's what I've got so far. Zoom out a little now. Okay. Now I'm going to put my findings on here. I've got a couple of little pieces of chain that I'm going to put up here. I'll take these are 5mm jump rings. The 6mm jump rings I have are really thick, and this little chain, they won't go through the link, so I'm going to use this 20 gauge 5mm jump ring. Open. Thread on my end and my little chain here. These are about 2-inch little pieces of chain. Make sure my jump ring's closed real well. Do the same thing on this side. Pliers are wanting to be magnetized. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take my another 5mm jump ring. A little bit easier to handle than the 4mm. You wouldn't think 1mm would make that much of a difference, but it does. Put my chain on. Put my lobster on. On this side, I'm going to take a bigger jump ring that I hope will go through this chain. I didn't think of that. I don't think it's gonna. No, it's too thick. Hold on, I'll get another jump ring. Okay, sorry about that. I got another jump ring. I think this one will work. I'm going to take this one. Thread on my chain. There. And I'm going to thread on my extender chain here. It's about 2 inches of extender chain. Okay. And there's my little necklace all done. Zoom back out here. So, there that is. Now, I'm going to get my stuff together and make a little pair of earrings here. Okay, now I'm going to take a ball head pin. I'm going to put on my spacer bead. Put on a bead cap. Put on a big 12mm bead. Put on another bead cap. And put on another spacer bead. I'm going to take my pliers, go to the very tip of the plier because I don't want a very big and very long neck. Bend a 90-degree angle over the plier. Put the round nose pliers in the crook of the bend. The pliers facing me. Bend the wire back. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold on really tight. Bend this wire back so that it hits the tool. Can't go any further. Cock it back a little to center it over the bead. Take my bent nose pliers and hold on to my loop really good and tight. Take my other bent nose pliers and wrap around until there's no more room to wrap. Then I'm going to take my cutters, cut off the extra piece of wire. Take my crimping pliers and tuck in the little burr that was left. Now I'm going to take a head pin, put my little blue bead on here, take my pliers, go just a little bit above the bead so that I don't crack my bead, bend a 90-degree angle, cut, leave just maybe a little over 1/4 of an inch of wire. Hold on to this wire so it doesn't go flying. Cut. Take my round nose pliers. Make sure there's no wire coming out on this side. And just roll back a loop. Sure your loop's closed really well. Mine does not appear to be closed really well. Just going to open it up and close it like that. Make sure it's straight. Just going to do that to make sure it's straight. And now I'm going to take this end and I'm going to open it up, thread my little dangle on, close it back, take my ear wire, open my ear wire, same like the way we do a jump ring, open it this way, never out like this. Thread on my little earring, close my ear wire up, and there I have a little earring. So I'm going to make the other one off camera and I'll be back. Okay, so here's my necklace and my little pair of earrings. I noticed in that last clip when I started to do this top part, I said I was putting it on a head pin. Obviously I meant an eye pin. I'm going to blame that on the fact that I did not sleep very well last night, which happens to me quite frequently these days. I mentioned in another video that I'm going to try to move all this into another room. I don't know why I didn't do that years ago. I've been working out of just the corner of my bedroom and I don't have very much room at all to work, and when I can't sleep at night, which I couldn't last night, I want to get up and bead, and my husband does not appreciate that very much because that means I have to turn on all the lights. So I think he'll be happy when I move in the other room too, move all this beading stuff in the other room. As usual, thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.